Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing the long-awaited account overview. We're going to be going into my own account. I'm going to show you my characters, my builds, my progress, my abyss clearage, my records, my achievements, everything. This is going to be a very long video, so I highly recommend sitting down with some snacks and buckle in because it's going to be a very long video. But first, let's give an overview. I started playing Genshin in May of 2023, just about 3 months before the drop of Font 10. I created my account on the final day of 3.6, but I really started playing during 3.7. I started out as free to play and very quickly lost that status. But I figured we should start off by doing just a quick look at just basic things on my account. One thing that I talk about a lot is my achievements. I am usually achievement farming. As of 5.4, there are 1,458 achievements, so I'm actually 50 behind, which sounds like a lot, but in all honesty, there are some that I can't do currently. So like Natlan, I can't raise the Statue of the Seven to its maximum. I can't raise the Tablet of Toner because those obviously aren't possible yet. I don't have any characters that are level 90 that currently have echoes, so I can't do the Echoes challenge ones. I think I'm still waiting for one. Yeah, A Realm Beyond Series 3. I'm still waiting for I'm still doing this one, the gathering items in the Orderly Meadow. That one takes forever. And then the Hero's Journey one, I haven't done 800 ley lines. Yeah, I haven't done 800 ley lines. I'm slowly getting there. It just, you know, just takes me a while because I don't do ley lines that often. But yeah, so for other achievements, I don't know if there's any that people are particularly interested in. I obviously have done all of the ones that got added in for the repertoire of Myriad Melodies. I have done both of the local legend ones that are currently available. I've done the regular Imaginarium Theatre ones, any that are exploration based, so all of Fontaine's, Blessed Hamada. I have done all of the TCG ones as well, although ironically, I don't think my TCG is actually maxed. I'm gonna go and check that. I haven't done this, and there's probably like another... Chefrus is here today. Oh my god, I didn't know Chefrus was here. Achieve victory in 15 serious showdowns. I've only done 2 of them. So maybe I'll get around to it for those 60 primos at some point. But other than that, my player level is maxed, and I have gotten all of the achievements for TCG. Contrary to most people, I actually kind of enjoyed TCG. I think it's okay. I don't think it's anything spectacular. I actually quite like it. So anyway, I can actually talk about my wishing history, like as a whole, because I've been very fortunate that I have been using Paimon.Moe to track all of my wishes since I started playing back in May of 2023. So I actually have a full itemized list of every single wish that I have ever made, basically, which maybe I'll cut to that now. So this is my entire history of Paimon.Moe. I don't think it's updated for... Yeah, I haven't actually put in Citlali's statistics yet from when I got her weapon, but it's really easy to do. I highly recommend. They have so many tutorials on how to actually do it in this auto input selection. It's really, really easy to do. I highly recommend using Paimon.Moe. This isn't sponsored by them. I wish that it was, but it isn't actually sponsored by them. I just really, really like it. I like being able to see what my statistics are, what my average is, what my, you know, everything is. It also makes it really, really easy to keep track. So for example, we have the character event here. We have my lifetime pulls as 1,481. It shows you what pity you are for a 5-star, and it also shows you what pity you are for a 4-star. It also shows that my next 4-star is guaranteed to be promotional. It tracks it over on your weapon banner. This says obviously that I am guaranteed to get this weapon. This was because I haven't inputted Citlali's numbers yet. I can also show that I'm in the top 4% of the amount of pulls that I have in comparison to other Paimon users, but it also has some different features, like you can calculate some ascension stuff. It can also tell you different things about like who can be built, how to build them. Their Discord is here as well. It tells you what your last wish is. It's just a really cool way of tracking also what's going to happen. So for example, it shows you when the Chronicled Wish banners come back. It shows you when the events for Lantern Rite are coming. It also shows you when the banners change. It's just a very, very helpful thing. I use it all the time. Cut back to me. Anyway, should we look at my exploration? Exploration is something that I am quite proud of. I work very, very hard to get 100% exploration every time there's a new patch. I have certain regrets about how I started doing exploration, not in the way that I actually completed it, in that as I said, I started Genshin just before Font 10 release, about 3 months, and I gave myself between me starting and Fontaine releasing to complete the entire map. Basically, obviously Chenyu Vale didn't exist at that point, but obviously that meant all of Sumeru, all of Liyue, all of Inazuma. I did do it. I think if I were to start again, I don't think I would set myself a timer. Oh, and the other regret that I had was I went to Dragonspine, like, immediately. I was like, oh, another part of Mondstadt. It's not another part of Mondstadt. Well, it is, but I definitely think I should have been higher AR before I went to Dragonspine. I died so many times. And if anyone remembers, there is a time trial. I think it's like in here, like this little section, there's a time trial where you have to kill like 3 waves of enemies and they pop up in different locations. I had to get somebody else to come in and do that for me, and then when I finished Dragonspine, you unlock this, which I couldn't even complete because I wasn't AR 35, so I couldn't farm them. That was one of my regrets. I definitely regretted doing Dragonspine the way that I did. Every single area is 100%, even the desert, even up here, everywhere is 100%, Inazuma is 100%, all of Natlan is 100%. Obviously I did these in a video, but all of the other maps as well, so Enkanomiya is 100%, the Chasm Underground is 100%, and the Sea of Bygone Eras is of course 100% as well. I enjoy exploration, but just on like a general level, I will maybe mention how much I have spent on this game to be perfectly transparent about that. My personal thing is if I can explore and if I can open chests for free primos. Hello. Yeah. You want to say hi? You've not said hi yet. Bunker's come and said hi during videos. You've not said hi yet. Hi. I have completely lost my train of thought. She's destroyed my brain. I just don't personally want to spend money, let alone the amount that I have, on a game if I haven't completed everything possible. Let's talk about the Abyss. The Abyss is something that I think it's been about a year now that I've been... At first I wasn't very interested in the Abyss, and then I found out that these reset and you can get primos every single time it resets. So I started focusing on the Abyss. I've been pretty much 36 starring since February of last year, so yeah, about a year nearly, just short of a year. Ironically, it's gotten easier as I've gotten further into my account and I've built supports like Bennett and Nahida, and obviously you can see Ningguang here. I use her a lot. When it comes to talking about clearing the Abyss and like Abyss rate usage, I don't care. Like if I go back and I go to who I cleared the Abyss with first, Ningguang's here, Kujo Sara is here, I have Chevreuse, although I think she's quite highly used these days, Navia, again Raiden Shogun, Yaimiko, Charlotte, Chevreuse, Bennett, Charlotte, and then it's pretty much been these for the last forever. Yeah, this is my personal highest. I think to be fair, this was the Abyss that Mualani came out in, so obviously she had a higher buff, but yeah, she hit 1.015 million. Which is not my personal best at the current moment in time. Ironically, I hit my personal best yesterday. I was trying to do, if I could, oh my god, can I type? There we go. I was trying to do a showcase of her in one of the local legends domain where you get like an insane damage buff, and I ended up getting 2.2 million as my current highest. That was not with a fully maxed out buff from the local legend, but 2.2 million I'm pretty happy about. In terms of overworld, I believe, or not overworld, it was a world boss Scaramouche. Again, it was also yesterday. My highest was 1.2 million with Mualani, just in a regular boss, well, Scaramouche, and also with some crit rate food just to make sure that she did in fact crit. So Mualani I think is definitively one of my better built characters, but let's talk about characters that I don't have, because I think that this is far more interesting. I could go, obviously I'll be going through all of the characters that I do have, going through their builds, going through the reasoning behind my builds and etc, but I think it's more interesting to talk about characters that I didn't pull for and don't have. So as you'll notice, I currently own every single 4-star in the game. That is something that I think Cookie was the last one that I was missing when I first started, and I've been able to get every single 4-star that's come out subsequently. I think Charlotte was the worst one for me to get. I think it was either Charlotte or it was Garming. I spent like 150, I think I spent like 150 pulls on both Xianyun and Furina's banners, and I think I ended up going away with 1 copy of Garming and 1 copy of Charlotte. Like my 4-star luck is atrocious. I say that though, my Sethos luck was really good. I think I ended up walking away with like C4 or 5 of Sethos. But anyway, let's talk about characters that I don't have. So obviously here there are 17 characters and they are all 5 stars that I don't have. Some of this will come down to characters that have not had reruns since I've been playing. So for example, Shenhe has not had a rerun. Obviously she will be returning in Chronicled. I think it's next week. Obviously I think by the time this video goes out, she will have been released and I will be pulling for her. So I will exclude Shenhe from this. But again, Ganyu's last rerun was in 3.6. But as I say, I created my account on quite literally the last day of 3.6. I think I played 5 minutes of the game and then was like, oh, I've got to go do something. So I didn't actually unlock Wishing until 3.7 the next day. So Ganyu had already gone by then. So unfortunately with these two characters, it was just unfortunate timing. They haven't had a rerun since I've been playing. Child was a character that I wasn't particularly very interested. I think he's fun and I think he's silly in the story, but he's never been a priority for me when pulling. I think he's only had 1 banner, I think. I don't want to say that with my full chest and be wrong. He ran alongside Zhongli. It was when Zhongli and... oh, so it was 4.0. It was 4.0. He reran in 4.0. I can see the banners in my head, it's just I forget the patches. I really don't think he's had a rerun since then. I will possibly pick him up. I think the situation in which I would pick him up is similar to Chronicled, which is when he is making his return. Zhongli, I've never been particularly fussed about. I've never been particularly interested in pulling for him. I think I understand that Zhongli is a really, really good character. I also would recommend most new players to pull for Zhongli just because he's really, really good. His shield is a fantastic. He does increase your damage. I've never had the opportunity to pull for him where I wasn't trying to focus on anybody else. I think when he ran in 4.0, I was saving up for Hu Tao in 4.1, and then he ran with Nervalet, and I just wasn't interested in Nervalet or him at all. So Albedo is a character that ironically I now am interested in pulling. I wasn't originally, and then I used him on Pufftastic's account when I did her account review. Again, go and check that out if you haven't seen it. And I really like him. I think he's really, really fun. I do think that his kit is sort of held back by constellations. I will probably pull for him eventually. I think he's really cute and I think his kit's fun. Zhao is a character that has just unfortunately, he has had a rerun, but it ran at a time that I was getting other characters that I was interested. And again, given that Shenhe has been in jail for 2 years, I will be focusing on her for this Chronicled. If Shenhe wasn't in this Chronicled, I probably would have gone for Xiao, so it's just unfortunate timing. Eula is a weird one. I'm not the biggest fan of physical, but I feel like if I was going to give physical a shot, I would want to do it with Eula. Obviously her design is stunning. I think fundamentally Eula is one of the best designed characters in the game. I think she's flawless. I think she's so beautiful. I really only see myself pulling for her in like a Chronicled situation. Ito is a character that, again, a lot of these characters are just unfortunate timing with reruns and other characters that I may have been more interested in or just didn't have enough primos to guarantee both. I like Ito. I'm a big fan of Geo. Ignore the fact that 4 of the characters that I don't have are Geo. I actually genuinely really enjoy Geo as an element. I think it's so fun. I love his character. I will pull for him eventually. I dislike Aito solely because of his knees. Why are his knees so low down on his model? Why are they here? Why are his thighs the same length as his torso? Why? I don't like it. It's really off-putting for me. I also just dislike the design. It's not for me. I have a love-hate relationship with Yelan. I love her, she hates me. I have pulled for Yelan twice. I pulled for her back on her first banner when I was playing in 4.0 when she ran alongside Linny. I pulled for her when she ran alongside Emily in 4.8 and I lost both times. I was hoping they may shove her on Chronicled and then they didn't. So I was very upset about that. I will get her one day. One day she will be mine. She has no choice about it. Nilo, again, it was just unfortunate timing with the way that the banners worked out. She ran alongside Navia in 4.8, and when I lost for Yelan, I was obviously saving some pulls for Yelan when Nilu reran, and then I lost Yelan, and then I saved my guaranteed for Mualani anyway. So I don't care for him. And I know that that may get me crucified. I've never been interested in his kit. I was never particularly enthralled by his character. Maybe part of that comes from the fact that I was such a late start to the game that I didn't have the event where he was first shown as obviously Scaramouche. Maybe that has something to do with it, maybe why I'm not as interested in him. Maybe it would have been different, but for me, I'm not particularly interested in him. When he originally ran in 3.7 with Kazuha, I went for Kazuha, so that was just unfortunate timing. Similarly, I really liked Clarand the second time he reran since I've been playing, so I feel like this is going to get me crucified. It did on TikTok when I said this. I don't care for Nervalet. I have never cared for him. I think his design is okay. I like his character in the story. I thought he was really good. I just find his kit itself boring. I am not the biggest fan of the spin to win gameplay. It's not for me. I find it very dull. He is obviously still an amazing DPS, but it's not for me. I adore Chiori. I love her. I love Chiori. I think she's so fun. I love her design. I think she's so beautiful. I love her kit. It was just very unfortunate timing both times that she's rerun. I will get her eventually. She's on my list. Emily, as I mentioned before, Emily, I was pulling for Yelan at the time of Emily's first banner, so obviously I was focusing on that, but I do thoroughly enjoy Kaniche, so I would like to pull Emily. And finally, Mawika. As you will notice, she is the only Natlan character that I don't currently own, which is obviously ironic for a lot of people because a lot of people have only pulled for Mawika. She just, I mentioned in my 5.3 Archon Quest video, if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend you go and watch it. She just wasn't for me. I will probably pull her at some point, maybe on a rerun, but she's just not for me. I'm not particularly interested. So that's it. This is the current lineup of characters that I have. I currently own everybody from Natlan. I am only missing 3 from Fontaine, Nervalet, Chiori, and Emily. I think Liwa is the one that I'm missing the most from. But yeah, those are currently all of the characters that I don't own, so I think it's time that we look into the characters that I do and let's talk about their builds. So I think personally, I think that it's important that I outline something very odd about my account, and it's something that it's something that I've been asked about a couple of times and I've never fully explained it, but I think now is probably the time to actually explain. As you will notice, there's only a handful of characters that are actually level 90, and only one of them that's actually up here. I made a decision about 6 months into play that I wasn't going to level 90 any of my characters until I had all of my characters at level 80 with a minimum of double 8 talents. The reason why I'd made this decision was because of the fact that my goal with Genshin is to have all of my characters level 90, double or triple 9 talents with crowns here and there, and every character has their own build, has their own pieces, their own weapons, because I hate swapping. I hate swapping builds. I hate having to keep track of who has what. I like being able to just go, oh, okay, I want to play Kaniche today. I'll chuck in Dihya and I'll chuck in Kole as well as Bennett, and not have to spend 20 minutes changing artifacts, changing weapons, not knowing who has what pieces. And this was the most manageable way for me to do that, because I feel like if I didn't, I would become very overwhelmed and not know when to stop. For example, if I took Mualani to level 90 and I triple 9'd her talents, or I did double 9 and then a crown on her E, and then I leveled her weapon up and I gave her all of these pieces, when would I stop? When would I go, Mualani's build is finished, let me move on to the next character? So the way that I started doing that was I gave myself from the time that I started building the character to the time where they reached friendship level 10. And the moment they hit friendship level 10, they are done. They are left alone. I move on to the next character. And then once all of my characters are level 80 with double 8 talents or triple 8 talents with a build and friendship level 10, I will go back through and start level 90 in characters, get their talents to 9, and then focus on maybe spending another month in the Emblem domain or the Obsidian Codex domain or the Deepwood domain. This made my account a million times more manageable than anything else did. This system made sense to me and it works for me. It may not work for you. It's not going to work for everybody. It generally speaking helped a lot to build characters that needed the same domain at the same time. So I think, for example, at one point I was building Rysley, Yaimiko, and I think it was Garming at the same time, because I have Rysley and Garming both on Marishose Hunter and I have Yaimiko on Golden Troop. It logically made sense for me at that point to focus on doing them at the same time. Currently I am finished relatively with Chaska and Auroron for now. I'm currently getting artifacts for my Yao Yao. Yes, my Yao Yao is friendship level 10. This is something as well, because I've been doing this system, I am now at the point where characters that I already had friendship level 10 before I created this system now need their artifact sets being built. So Yao Yao's artifact set it's nearly finished. We've still got some leveling to do. I'll get a bit more in depth about that when we cover Yao Yao. Once her artifact set is finished, I think I'm going on to Rosaria, I think, because like any character that has a star next to them is finished in terms of they are level 80, 88 or 888 talents, they have their weapon maxed or to level 80 at least, and they have a usable build that will function if I were to put them into a team. So all of these characters here, none of them have builds, none of them are finished. Even these ones that are level 80 and the ones that are level 90, they aren't finished. They still need to be done, but most of them have friendship level 10. Hutao, Kazuha, Layla, obviously Traveler, and Klee isn't friendship level 10, but like Beidou's friendship level 10, so I'm now at that point where we're getting to the dregs of my account of characters that maybe I'm not as interested in building, obviously apart from like Kuching and Tignari, they're characters that I am really interested in. So let's get into, I think, some of the more specifics. I think it's time for that. So obviously the main star of, I would argue, my account in general is Mualani. Obviously I only pulled her back in September of last year, but I love her design. I fell in love with her when the trailer came out for Natlan, which was first shown. I knew I wanted to pull for her. She is currently in my team, so she has 39,000 HP because we have double Hydro with Siege Reen. She's currently on 47,221, which is 87 with her Night Soul blessing. She goes up to 87. Obviously, when she ascends up to level 90, she will be at 50, so she will be at 91.8 crit rate. Obviously, I'm very happy with. I have her signature weapon. I level 90'd it the other day because I, for some reason, didn't level 90. I don't know why I didn't do that. And she has Obsidian Codex. I have spoken a couple of times about how much Obsidian Codex hates me, like actually hates me. This domain hates me. I have been in this domain since the day Natlan dropped, pretty much, and I still don't have fantastic pieces. They are questionable at best. We have this one, 3.5 over 17, 3.9 over 21, not bad, 20 crit damage on a HP. I really struggle to get HP circlets. That's something. We have a Hydro damage, Goblet, which was originally, I think, Furina's. I do have this one that is on set, but I don't have an offset HP circlet currently that is as nice. I am running her on a HP circlet, partially because I have her C1, which does increase her damage based off of her HP, so sometimes it can be more beneficial. Also, with her weapon being so high in crit damage, I like the stat of HP sometimes a bit more. But also, part of it is because this is the caliber of my crit damage circlets on set, so do with that information what you would like to. My Mualani is C2. I was very lucky with my Mualani pulls. I think I ended up getting C2 R1 in like, I want to say I think it was under 200 pulls. It was genuinely really insane. I got very lucky with my Mualani. She is currently 688. I will be probably triple nining her. I know that this is kind of irrelevant, but I can do what I want. I like her, so shut up. When I talk about my plan being to double nine or triple nine all of my characters, I want every single character on my account to have a crown, at least one crown, which has become significantly more realistic now that they've added crowns to Paimon's bargains. So fingers crossed, we'll get there eventually. Maybe next year we'll have some progress. Xiangling is a character that I would consider Xiangling my first main when I first started Genshin. I loved her design. I thought she was super cute. I absolutely adore her. Her build is nothing special. She's at 48,123, which is obviously not great. I would prefer if this was at least at 60 to have a 60,120 for a 1:2 ratio. I built her until she was friendship level 10, and this is what we currently have on Emblem. I probably could, if I wanted to swap artifacts around, I could 110% get her a better build. I just don't. And she functions absolutely just fine in the Abyss. She does just as well as she needs to. We have the catch level 80 R5. Don't talk to me about fishing this, I never want to do it again. Obviously, we have Emblem of Severed Fate. Mine is C6, and she is 88 on the burst and her skill. These are the caliber of some of her pieces. They aren't the worst thing in the world. That is pretty bad, actually. Who gave you that? I feel like that's not your piece. Why does Candace have... bloody hell, have that? Oh, it's because it has 28 recharge. That's why I gave it to you. No, yeah, have that back. Never mind. She's on this, which isn't too bad. And don't look at this. Just don't look at it. Just don't look at it. And then this one, which is pretty good. Obviously, she could be significantly stronger than she is, but she works at the current moment in time for what I like to do with her. Siege Queen! I'm a Siege Queen enjoyer. I would like Siege Queen's signature weapon. I don't have it. My problem is that she originally ran with Furina, and I have Furina's weapon, and I don't like pulling on weapon banners. If I don't like pulling on weapon banners if I already have one of the character's weapons. It just seems redundant to me. So I have this R5 on her. Ignore the fact that she has a 4-star artifact. I never got one. I never got a 5-star HP piece whilst I was farming for her for this set. So this is what she has now. She just has this until I get her a proper one. She is C2. I've talked about this a couple of times. I got very, very lucky. I got her C2 in one temple. Was just going for C0, but I love my C2 Siege Queen. Use her pretty much every single Abyss. As you saw, she is 88 on her talents. None of her pieces are particularly special. They're all just HP pieces. That's all she needs, really. Nahida is another character that I have tried twice to get her signature weapon. I tried once on Xianyun's original banner, and I got Xianyun's weapon instead of Nahida's, which is ironically why I pulled for Xianyun, because I got her weapon, but I have no regrets on that one. I got Staff of Homer instead of Nahida's weapon, so she's currently rocking an R5 Sacrificial Fragments. She's obviously on Deepwood. She's C0. I would be interested in getting C2 at some point. I just, you know, it's an eventuality for me, and she is on 88 talents. Again, the caliber of her pieces, it's just going to be anything with relatively high ER and EM. Definitely some of these pieces could do with some work. This one doesn't have ER, this one doesn't have ER on it, and actually that one's pretty decent, actually. That's not bad. But she has 943 EM and she's not fully ascended yet, so she will easily hit the 1000 EM target. And this is where things start getting interesting. This is my level 90 Kokomi, who also has a crown on her burst. Kokomi is actually, ironically, the reason I would say that I started this entire system with my account was because I spent months farming the weekly bosses, getting all of the talents, getting everything ready, and I did one crown and it cost me so much more that I was like, I don't want to spend this amount of time on every single character. I feel like I'll get bored. I love Kokomi. She was the first character in Genshin I would say that I was so excited to pull for. She last ran in 3.8, I think it was. I think it was 3.8. It was during the summer patch. It was during the summer event that she ran with Eula and Klee. But I love her. I think she's adorable. I do have her signature weapon, Everlasting Moonglow. And while some of you may go, oh, I bet Watts regrets that because she was a new player, she didn't know anything. Nope. I still have no regrets about pulling this weapon, and if I didn't have this weapon, I would still pull for it when she reran. I like characters having their signature weapons. It's just a personal preference. I just like it. It's a thing. And if I ever did pull for Zhongli, I probably would still pull for Vortex Vanquisher. I just wouldn't use it on him. But yeah, I love her weapon. I think it's beautiful. She is on a 5-piece Ocean Hued Clam. These pieces have not been changed in about a year and a bit, so there's definitely some room for improvement in certain stats. Like this crit rate could definitely go. This could have been HP %, that would have been better. The energy recharge, there could have been EM on this piece. Similarly, there's like attack %, but there's not much you can do about that. And yeah, so she's okay, she functions. I love my Kokomi, she's absolutely amazing. Xilonen is a character that I very, very recently built. She is the only character in Natlan that I don't have their signature weapon for, I think. I'm pretty sure she is the only Natlan character whose signature weapon I don't have. I will get it at some point, I just didn't have enough primos to guarantee it at the time. This weapon will probably go onto Albedo whenever I get him to swap them over. Obviously, she is on 5-piece Cinder City. She is C0, again, very interested in getting C2 at some point, and she is currently 88 talents. I just have her stacked with defense because because obviously my plan is, and I don't run her on Favonia, so I don't have her on a crit rate circlet. I just have her on any pieces with high defense and energy recharge. I have this crit rate one though for some reason. Pretty standard build. There's nothing particularly special about her build. I like her. I think she's great. I have no regrets in pulling for her. Navia. I don't remember if I don't think Navia was ever particularly hated, but I definitely think that when she reran in 4.8, there was a lot of people that didn't pull for her originally that regretted it. I pulled for her on her initial banner, and I have zero regrets. I think her original banner was 4.3. I think she ran alongside Ayaka and then the next half with Raiden and Yoimiya. I think 4.3, I would argue, was probably my most expensive patch. I love Navia so much. As you saw in my Abyss rate usage, I use her quite a lot. I think she's fantastic. I love Geo in general. I have her weapon R2. This was not a purposeful pull. I was trying to get Mistsplitter as well, so that's why I have it R2. I know that that's going to possibly cause some discourse about whether or not you should refine weapons. My personal preference is I am not going to use a second verdict. I will refine it. It just makes more sense to me to do it that way. I have her on 4-piece of her set. She is C0. Again, C2. Not to sound like a broken clock, but C2 is one that I am very, very interested in, and she is currently AAA. The reason I leveled her normal attack is I do sometimes weave in normal attacks because she has infusion, so getting this up does help do a little bit more damage for the whole team DPS. 67 over 203 isn't bad. Obviously she'll go up to 212. Her pieces aren't the best, but she does pretty decent damage. I think my personal best is like 250 maybe? I can't remember. I'll have to have a look at that. I got this piece on the first run of her new domain and I have never changed it since. I don't want to talk about this piece because I have crafted her. I have crafted her 2 timepieces with sanctifying elixirs. This is the caliber that I have been getting. It's awful. I don't want to talk about it. And then we have this one, which is pretty decent, 12% crit rate, not too bad. And this one's okay. She could definitively do with some work, but I love her so much and she does the job. I obviously pulled for Chaska in my Natlan in 24 hours video. I ended up being very, very lucky and I got her signature weapon. But her weapon pulling was a perfect example of weapon banners I don't mind pulling on. I have Linny. Obviously we'll get into Linny later on. I have Linny. I don't have his signature weapon, so that would have been a weapon banner that I would have been perfectly happy with either of the weapons, but I am a little bit happier that I got Chaska's. Chaska functions pretty well. I've been trying her out in the Abyss recently. She's currently 46 over 230. When she ascends, she'll be at 51, pretty similar to Mualani, so she'll be at 91.4 crit rate, which obviously is very, very good. Level 90 to her weapon. Again, the caliber of my obsidian pieces is... I forget how bad this piece is. Oh my god, it's so bad. And then this one, which is actually quite good. 13 crit rate's not awful. It's just the substats that are kind of stinky. She is C0. Once again, very interested in C2 for her. That will be an eventuality, and she is double 8 on her talents. I love Chaska. I think she's great fun. I think I would prefer just like a little bit more EM personally if I were to chuck out some of her pieces. She definitely needs a replacement on her timepiece, but she's really good. I love Chaska, big fan. I had no intention of pulling for Xianyan on her original banner. I was going for Nahida and Nahida only. I got Nahida, went for Nahida's weapon, and I got Xianyan's weapon. And I was like, I have nobody that can use this. I might as well pull for Xianyan. And honestly, I have never regretted something less in my life than pulling for Xianyan. Xianyan is, in my opinion, the perfect example of the kind of characters that Genshin needs to be putting out more. Genshin needs to be putting out more hyper-specific or niche supports that can pull older characters back into the forefront of the meta. And she's got decent healing, which means you can pair her with Furina without requiring another character that's specific to healing. If I hadn't gotten her weapon, I would be looking at getting it on a rerun. I love her so much. I've never particularly looked into any of her constellations, but to be honest, she functions so well at C0, I don't particularly see a benefit. I've always said that if my account got deleted and I had to start again from scratch, one of the first characters on my list to pull again would be Xianyan. Venti was my first Archon. Obviously for a lot of day one players he was as well, But Venti was my first Archon that I ever got back in 4.1, I think. I got very, very lucky in 4.1. I pulled both him and Risley. I think I got both of them within like 60 pulls. I got Risley at like 9 pity. It was really insane. And then I also got his weapon. And Elegy for the End is one of those weapons that even if you don't have Venti, Elegy for the End is a really good support weapon just in general. The amount of characters that can use this buff, like Diona, Auroron, Kujo-Sara, like it's just a really, really good weapon to have just in general. I think Fischl can even benefit from having it as well. A lot of characters can benefit from having this, but he is C0. I'm not interested in getting any constellations for Venti, to be perfectly frank, and he is double 8 talents. He is obviously just on a bog standard, a very standard just elemental mastery build. Obviously EM pieces are really hard to come by, so I just sort of shoved on the first ones that we got. I would like to refine them to maybe have like energy recharge on this one, maybe some more energy recharge substats. Similarly, this one has no energy recharge. Not that he struggles with ER obviously, but it's just helpful to have as many sets as possible. So I really like Venti. I use Venti more often now that Imaginarium Theatre exists, because he's quite good with any of the Leyline Monolith challenges or anything to pick up smaller enemies, which Imaginarium Theatre has more of than the Abyss these days. My Jean is built very specifically as Animo healer for Furina. I have vague ideas of how I would like to use her, but she's level 80. She has a Key of Havonia at level 80. She is on Viridescent. She is C2 currently, and she is 888 on her talents. Most of these pieces are anything with energy recharge and attack percent. I do have her on a very insane healing bonus circlet. Again, she's made to be a Furina support, so that's how I use her. She's not the most exciting character, but I like Jean. She was my first 5-star that I ever got. Silali is the newest 5-star for me on my account, and I've already gotten her to level 80. She currently has double 7. Her weapon is level 60 of 70. I've ran out of leveling materials, so it's currently staying at level 60 for a little while, but I did get her weapon, fortunately. Her artifacts are not leveled, but she does have all of the pieces that she needs. She has EM, EM, and EM on the circlet. She is C0. She's not built, but she isn't built at the current moment in time, but once she's friendship level 10, she'll get a little, I mean, she has a little star next to her already because I've started building her. But Risley, again, like I said, I wasn't originally pulling for Risley on his original banner. I think I just randomly did like one pull and I got him when I was trying to get other characters. I think I might have been trying to get a 4-star that was on his banner, I'm not sure. But I ended up getting Risley, and I'm really glad that I did, because he's currently stuck in Hoyoverse jail and nobody's seen him for 10 years. I have him on my Battle Pass Solar Pearl. I will get his signature weapon whenever Hoyo decides to let him out, and he is on Marechaussee. These pieces are okay, they certainly exist. Nothing is particularly fantastic, but he is on 54-200, which ends up being 90 crit rate over 200. I would obviously prefer more EM if I was going to run him in a melt team, and he is 888 on his talents, and I would prefer to have C1. C1 is definitely a constellation that I would be looking into getting eventually, but there he is. Ayaka is a funny one. Ayaka is a funny character for me. You'll notice she has abnormally high HP. When I was farming Blizzard Strayer decided that it fucking hates me. More so than I would say Obsidian Codex does. Most of Ayaka's pieces I have gotten strongboxing Blizzard Strayer since I have come out of that domain. And when I say that the moment a character hits friendship level 10, they are done and dusted and I don't touch them again until it comes to the time to level 90 them, you'll see that I mean that with Ayaka, because this is her One, how good is this as a HP timepiece? This is going to be my off piece for Hu Tao when I rebuild her. But this is what we're currently working with. I am going to make her... My plan is I have 1 sanctifying elixir from the battle pass this time around, and we will be getting 1 as a reward from the lantern rite. So I will be crafting her an actual attack timepiece so she can... She actually, to be fair, she still does really good damage even with a HP one, but yeah, she's 50 over 235, which is pretty decent because obviously sometimes I run her with another... Obviously, you usually run her with another cryo in the team, which will give you 15% for cryo resonance. You get 40%, so she's actually 5% overcapped. Most of her crit rate comes from this really good crit damage circlet that I got. Again, again, I've strongboxed this. I think this was strongboxed at some point. This was strongboxed as well, and so was this. Like, pretty much all of her pieces were strongboxed because I got nothing in the Blizzard Straya domain. I have no other Blizzard Straya pieces. They're the only pieces that I have. I have nothing for her, but she does well. I love Ica, but Clarand is an unfortunate disappointment. I have sets that don't like me. Blizzard Straya hates me. Heart of Depth loves me. Similarly, Obsidian Codex hates me, but Cinder City is quite nice with me. Fragment of Harmonic Whimsy absolutely hates my guts. Both my Arlecchino and Clarand have suffered the wrath of Fragment of Harmonic Whimsy. I will go back in and farm probably whenever I pull for Emily. None of Clarand's pieces are good in any sense, I would argue, but she has a pretty decent crit ratio. Obviously, she naturally has 20, I think? Yeah, she has 20% crit rate built into her kit, so she's actually at 70% crit rate, which isn't awful, and she'll end up at 76. These pieces need changing, and I would like to get her signature weapon at some point, which would give her crit damage, which would be lovely, and she's currently +8. Cyno is another character that I like to build around stats that I will have eventually. So, for example, I don't have his signature weapon. I would like his signature weapon because I actually really enjoy playing Cyno. His signature weapon ends up at about 44% crit rate, so I would essentially need 19% crit rate less, so he is currently at 51, so that would put him at about 70. Isn't actually too bad. He has 285 EM. Most of his pieces are actually pretty good, I would say. None of them I think are particularly bad. I would like an onset Electro Goblet, but we'll talk about that at some point. And this piece doesn't even have any crit rate. He is +8 talents, he is C0. I like Cyno, I'm a big fan, looking forward for him to getting a rerun. Yae Miko was the character that I chose instead of Zhao when he reran, and to be honest, I really like her. She's great fun. She's at 76 198, so she's not too bad. She'll end up at 81, which is pretty good. She does have her signature weapon, Kagura's Verity. Most of these pieces are okay. Golden Troop likes me a little bit-ish. This one does not say that, but I would prefer, I think I originally put her on this because I had it. I would prefer to put her on an attack timepiece personally. She functions, she's pretty good. I mainly use her at the moment. Sometimes if I've got a raw run in a different team, I can use her with Chaska and she's actually quite fun. Raiden Shogun is one of the reasons why I started playing Genshin, because I just loved her design so much. I thought she was so beautiful, and obviously I saw the very infamous animation where she pulls the sword out of her heart, and I just thought it was so stunning that I had to have her. It was a really unfortunate time when she did rerun in 4.3. It was a very difficult time for me. We unfortunately lost one of my cats. He passed away, and so I think I channeled that sadness into my wallet and I just decided to pull for C2 and signature. I won both of these. I think I was guaranteed for Raiden, and then I won both of these very quick succession. I got very, very lucky. I think the universe decided I'd been through enough. Her build is okay. I would definitely prefer maybe just a little bit more crit rate to make that a bit more consistent for bursting, but her pieces are certainly nothing to sniff at. I think they're pretty good. I think they're okay. Personally, because of the amount of energy recharge that I have, I prefer running an attack goblet. That's just a personal preference. I know some people would prefer running an elemental one. That's just a personal preference for me. I like having her on attack one. I do have her 888, and I will be crowning her burst eventually. I love her C2, zero regrets in pulling her C2. I do think that I find it a little bit difficult to comment on C0 Raiden because of the fact that I pulled both of my constellations the same day that I got her, so I have never experienced C0 Raiden. Next up we have Kaniche. Kaniche was a character that I was not planning on pulling for. It's not that I hated his design, I just wasn't like obsessed with it or enamored by it in the same way that I was by Mualani, so I wasn't planning on pulling for him. I was saving everything for Xilonen. I had enough wishes for Xilonen and her signature weapon, and then I played Kaniche and I just found his kit so fun and so different that I immediately spent all of my wishes in getting him, his signature weapon, as well as his first constellation. He's just great fun. I like his gameplay. I genuinely think he's really, really fun. I did a showcase with him yesterday, and I think my personal best was around 163, which isn't too bad. We're at currently 79.7 crit rate with 228 crit damage. These pieces aren't awful. Again, this domain just really hates me. This one's pretty good though. This one, 21.8 crit damage with EM and ER isn't that bad. And then we have this one, which is pretty bad, but the attack stats are kind of good and kind of useful. So, and he is obviously double 8, and I will be crowning his E eventually. Baiju, again, is another character I wasn't planning on pulling for. I pulled him at the same time that I pulled for my Furina. I said to myself when I was pulling for Furina's weapon that if I ended up getting Baiju's weapon, I would just pull for Baiju instead of going for her sword. I ended up winning my 50-50 on him, and I got his weapon. No regrets. I like his weapon. I don't care. All of his stats are pretty bog standard. It's just triple HP with a bit of EM and ER. He is currently double 8. I love him. I'm very interested in getting further constellations of him. But let's move on to the main course, Furina. So whilst I was pulling for Furina's sword, like I said, if I got Baiju's weapon, I'd go for him. I ended up getting her weapon and a key of Favona in the next temple anyway, and I was very fortunate and I did get her C1 as well. She is still due a rerun in Natlan. My plan is to hopefully, if it works out quite well in terms of other characters, I am going to try and go for her C2. In my personal opinion, I think my Furina is my best built character to date. Currently sitting at 70 over 264. She definitely needs some more energy recharge. That's something that I would like to work on. Yeah, so I'm currently in the top 10% for Furina. She is top 10% on the Akasha system, which, you know, that's pretty good. That's my highest by far. That is my highest character. She's, like I say, top 10%. Like I say, she just needs more energy recharge, which is something I will focus on. She is currently triple 8. The only reason that I did put some levels into her normal attack is because sometimes I like to play C6 Furina, but the budget version, which involves Candace. Some of her pieces are pretty good. I really like this one, obviously 40 CV, that's pretty good. This one's really good. This one could definitely be better, could obviously have energy recharge. I run her on a HP one at the current moment in time. And then she has a circlet, which again is really, really good. I'm very, very proud of my Furina. She does a lot for my teams. I'm going to go through characters quite quickly that I don't think people are very, very interested in. This is just a very bog standard Mona build. She has a Favonius Codex. I will be swapping her over to Skyward Atlas once that's leveled and I have some stuff. She's on an emblem build. She's C0. She's double 8. Arlecchino, again, I love Arlecchino. In my Natlan in 24 hours video, I created her a timepiece. She had a 4-star one on before. She has the same issue as Clorand, where she doesn't have the highest caliber of pieces on Fragment of Harmonic Whimsy, but she actually still does pretty decent in the Abyss. She's currently triple 8 talents. She's C0. She doesn't have her signature weapon. She has my R3 Jadewing Spear because apparently it's the only weapon that I'm allowed to lose to. Obviously, I will go for her signature weapon at some point and probably her C1. I am a big Dia defender. I love Dia. I think she's so beautiful. I love her design, and I also think that her kit is fixable. You just have to know how to fix it. Mine is currently C3. She is my furthest constellation standard character. She is double 8, and I have her on Emblem of Severed Fate. I have her on the talking stick. Fortunately, now that Chronicled has been introduced as a mechanic, I will be going for Beacon of the Reed Sea eventually for her, just because I want to have her signature weapon. Her caliber of pieces is pretty decent, 17.9 crit rate. We've got some pretty good pieces. We have an attack one because the pyro one that I did have was god awful, and again, this one could be substantially better. She works pretty decent in a lot of Burgeon teams, which is what I use her in. I use her as a DPS. She functions as an off-field E support for Kinich. I would possibly like to farm her a second set of Golden Troop if I want to use her for Kinich. But yeah, I love Dia. Big Dia fan. Yoimiya was the first limited 5-star that I ever pulled back in 3.7, and in 4.3 I was able to pull for her weapon whilst I was getting Engulfing Lightning. I have her on Shiminawa. She is C0. She is triple 8 on her talents. Now, personally, I would prefer to possibly get up to C2. I know a lot of people don't like Yoimiya. I really like her. I think she's great fun. I love her design. I love her kit. I currently have her sitting at 70 over 203. None of her pieces I would say are particularly awful, but I don't think any of them were like massive high rollers or anything special, so she could definitely do with some upgrades here and there. Kachina is ironically a character that I use a lot. I think she's great. I have her on Deathmatch because obviously it increases defense and it gives crit rate. I have her on 4-piece Cinder City. Mine is C6 because I did so many pulls for Mualani, and obviously she's double 8, and she currently has a pretty much perfect 1-to-2 ratio of 75 over 140. So she actually does some pretty decent damage off field as well. She's got some pretty good pieces. I think her Gobbler is, yeah, it's 30 crit damage. It's quite high. I love Ningguang so much. I love her design. The moment I bought her outfit, I've never changed it because I think this is ugly. I think this is awful in comparison to this. I think this is stunning. I have mine on R5 with Sith. I have it on Noblesse Oblige. She's C6 and she is 888 on her talent. Mine is currently sitting at 50 over 209. I would prefer if that were at least at 60 or 65, but again, the caliber of my Noblesse pieces aren't the best thing in the world. She definitely could do with some... Who are you? I love Charlotte. As I say, I spent ages trying to get Charlotte. She actually does some pretty decent damage. I have her on R5 Favonius Codex. I have her on Song of Days Past. I actually have quite a few characters on Song of Days Past, but she does pretty decent. I have her on a crit damage circler, so she actually does some pretty good damage as well as doing some pretty good consistent heals. She's only C4, unfortunately, which I think most of these I got through weapon banner or standard banner. I love her. I'm a big Charlotte fan. Pull for Charlotte. Fun fact, actually, I don't know if I want this on the internet forever, but my Spotify Wrapped, my top song of 2024 was actually Veritas Numquam, which is her demo theme. For some reason, that was the song I listened to the most in 2024, so do with that what you'd like to. Again, Diona, pretty standard build. She's on Sacrificial Bow, she's on Noblesse Oblige, she's C2. I really don't have a lot of Diona constellations. I was hoping to get at least like a couple whilst pulling for Sitlali, and I got none. And obviously she's on double 8 as well, 26,000 HP, nothing particularly special. Most of these are just HP pieces. I adore Kaya, big fan. Originally I used to run a Hu Tao team with Hu Tao, Sing Cho, Kaya and Layla. I love Kaya, I would like to build that team again. I have him on the Battle Pass Wolffang, again, Noblesse Oblige, Constellation 0 and double 8. Some of these pieces are okay. I don't think any of them are particularly special. Currently on a 4158. Obviously I would prefer if this was again a 1-to-2 ratio of about 60 to 120. Again, with Aurora, my 4-star looks kind of stinky. I only managed to get 2 copies of him whilst pulling for Chaska, even though I did like a lot of pulls on Chaska's banner. He's at 50 over 134, which isn't awful. Double A, C0. Obviously, he is on Cinder City. Some of these pieces are pretty good. Like this feather's really good for him. This one's all right. He has an onset electro damage Gobbler and a pretty decently okay circlet. My cookie I keep forgetting to level this and also to refine it. I need to actually make the 5th one. I keep forgetting to do that. My cookie is C3. I have not seen a cookie constellation since I pulled for Sino. I haven't seen a copy of Cookie in over a year on my account. Mine obviously built for EM. I really need to level that. That's gotta be a priority at some point. My Kujosara is built obviously because I love Raiden Shogun. Mine is on a 58-102, which is not the best, but I don't use her for damage. I use her as a buffer. She is on a level 80 Favonius Warbow. Yes, I should ascend this because her buff is based off of base attack. I will do that at some point, but generally speaking, I know that I said I don't like weapon swapping. If I'm doing a showcase, I will just swap her onto Elegy for the end, but in the Abyss, this is pretty good. It functions. She has some okay pieces. She is C6, which means she gives a lot of crit damage. She's double 8. She functions. A lot of my characters are just, they function. Similarly with Fischl, Fischl is currently 56 over 128, which is pretty much a 1-to-2 ratio. She has Sion of the Blazing Sun, which isn't the weapon I would like her to be on. I would prefer to have her on this one. Just a personal preference, but I don't have anything else for her at the moment. She is on 4-piece Golden Troop. Mine is C6. She is double 8. Again, none of these pieces are particular. I mean, that's actually a pretty good one. I forgot how good that one was. No, the rest of them are pretty crap. None of them are great. Yao Yao is a character that I'm currently building. She's already friendship level 10. I friendship leveled her. I got her to friendship level 10 when I was originally like in the first few 6 months of playing. Similarly with her C6, she's double 8. Currently leveling these pieces. I literally just need her to have HP. I don't need her to have any other stats. So I love Kale. She's currently really, apart from Nahida, she's my only off-field Dendro applicator. She's 52 over 118, pretty much a 1-to-2 ratio. She has End of the Line, which actually, I have a theory personally. I think this weapon was designed with her in mind because the cooldown of this weapon is the exact cooldown of her E. It came out at the same time that she did, so I have a theory that it was designed for her. It works really, really well for her, and I didn't want to waste R5ing a fishing weapon, so it's hers now. Her pieces are actually pretty good. I don't think any of them are particularly bad. And she functions. I currently use her as an Emily replacement in my Kenichi team. I love Kirara, and I love using Kirara with Clorand. I have mine on an R5 sacrificial sword. She's obviously on Deepwood with only HP pieces. I would love to, at some point, get her onto proper crit rate, crit damage, triple HP pieces so that I can try and make a burst DPS version, because I have tried that before, and I think I was able to hit 116k, and I just think that would be so fun to do. Candace was another character that I used a lot early game. I think I got Candace off of standard within the first, like, couple weeks that I was playing Genshin, and then I left her alone and never built her. And I recently went back and did build her. I have her on Black Tassel, I have her on Emblem, she's C6, and also she has a 6 normal attack for some reason. But she is double 8. None of her pieces are particularly fantastic, nothing to really write home about. They're all just HP pieces. Xingqiu, I said in my 5.3 video that I was building. I finished his build literally like 2 days ago. He is C4, he is double 8 on his talent. His pieces are okay, they function. I wouldn't say any of them are particularly awful or good in the same sentence. About a 1:2 ratio with decent energy recharge. Garming is another character like Yelan that I have a love-hate relationship with. I love him, he hates me. I have mine on Fruitful Hook. I was really hoping to have gotten more copies, to at least have gotten like R2 or R3, but I only ended up getting 1 copy. I originally had him on Serpent Spine, but I swapped into this one because of the free crit rate and attack stats. This might look insanely low, but he is on Marashose, which means that that bumps that up to 67, and then he also gets 16 from his weapon as well, so that ends up putting him over to what, like 83 crit rate, I think, which once his weapon is fully refined, if I manage to get one, that would be 32, so it would be 32 plus 36, so you're looking at what, 68 more crit rate, so he'd end up being 98% crit rate, plus if I ever get him C6 he ends up with another 20% crit rate. So Garming's a character that I'm gonna have to build as and when I get refinements of his weapon or constellations. Chevrus! Every person who has Chevrus needs to build Chevrus. She's fantastic. She is fundamentally one of the best characters. Similarly, when I said about characters that I would immediately pull again if I lost my account, Xian Yun and Furina are on there. Chevrus is also on there. This is her best weapon. It is basically designed for her. I have mine on Song of Days Past. She doesn't even really need an artifact set. She just needs HP. Mine is now C6. I only recently got mine C6 on Kenichi's banner. She just has HP percent. When she gets ascended, she will be at 40,000 HP, which is obviously going to max out her buff. Build your Chevrus. She's absolutely insane. I use mine all of the time. Toma, again, pretty standard build for mine. I have him as a shielder. I have him on Kitane Crossbow, which I need to get more refinements for. Noblesse Oblige, mine is C6. I have him on double 8. Again, none of his pieces are particularly anything noteworthy, but they function, and he's a pretty decent shielder. He works pretty good with Mualani. I have spoken about my abnormal Xinyan build. I will talk about it more in depth now. I don't recommend that everybody builds their Xinyan this way. I really like Xinyan's design as a personal preference, so I wanted to find a way that I could make her work in a way that I would actually use her and want to use her. So I have my Xinyan as a Kenichi / Mualani support, as an off-field pyro applicator. Her shield is based off of the amount of opponents that she hits, and the only shield that produces off-field pyro application is level 3, which means you have to hit 3 or more opponents. Her Ascension passive reduces this to 2 enemies or more. My Xinyan is C6, however, specifically my build is centered around her second constellation, which always creates a level 3 shield, which means you will always get her pyro application when... Let me do an example. So she has her shield here, I hit 1 opponent. There we go. So, just to prove that it's one person that's triggering this, I'm going to make sure that this hits him. So, we're going to do that. And see how her shield is now putting pyro out. Does about 4 or 5 hits. But in order for you to have that, you have to have her C2, which always creates a level 3 shield after your burst, which means that regardless of how many opponents, you will always be able to cast a level 3 shield, which means you will always have pyro application off field. This also Rift's Revolution's physical damage, so her burst does physical damage, has its crit rate increased by 100%, meaning it will always crit. Meaning that if you have an R5 Favonius Greatsword, with crit hits have a 100% chance to generate particles, she will always crit, which means she will always generate particles for the team. The energy recharge also helps her be able to get her burst up really, really quickly to make sure that you always have her shield. So, for example, we've done that. We're gonna do some normals. Maybe do a Colle. And she's already got her burst back up. I think, is she on an ER timepiece? She is. ER timepiece, but like only a little bit of ER in substats, a little bit of ER in substats, no ER in substats. Like, she really, relatively speaking, doesn't have that much ER. I have mine on Cinder City because of the fact that I run her with Kniech and with Mualani. Obviously, she can't trigger the second part of this passive because she cannot herself be in Night Soul Blessing state. I like her, and it's nice to have a build that actually makes her usable because I enjoy her kit. And finally, we have Bennett in terms of my built characters. Bennett's pretty bog standard. I have him on Favonius, R5 for generating particles. I have him on Noblesse Oblige, minus C6. C6 your fucking Bennett. I am a C6 Bennett defender. I don't care. Double 8 on the talents. Again, none of his pieces are particularly anything to write home. The main thing about Bennett's kit is obviously his sword needs to have a high base attack, which Favonius doesn't. It would be preferable to have him on a Kia. I think if I got Skyward Blade, I would probably push him onto Skyward Blade over Favonius, but that's just a personal preference. And that is all of my built characters. That is all of them. As for characters that I don't currently have built, but I do have level 90, Clea is a character that I used to have built. I level 90'd her when her skin released. I have plans on how to build her. I'm going to put her on Lost Prayer of the Sacred Winds whenever that comes home. I'm going to put her on probably most likely Crimson Witch of Flames, just because that's a personal preference for me. I would like to get her C2 maybe at some point, and she's going to be 999. Layla was a character that I level 90'd, but I ended up trashing her artifacts because I hated them for some reason, and for some reason she is not on the weapon that she is supposed to be on. Mine is C6. I have her 888 on the talents because I want to do DPS Layla at some point. Kazuha is not built. I have his signature weapon. He has some pieces. I just need to get him another EM circlet. C0. I do want to get him C2 at some point. Hu Tao isn't built. I am going to put her on Crimson Witch of Flames. Again, I just hated her artifacts when I originally built her, so I trashed them all. She's relatively built-ish in terms of her talents and her level, but she just needs artifacts, no weapon. Hazo was the first character I ever got C6, and I will be building him as a DPS. I will probably swap him onto the Solar Pearl whenever I get Wriothesley's signature weapon, and then I'll build him. Rosaria, I'm still not sure if I want to build her as a burst DPS or a burst support. I haven't really decided. Mine is C6. Beidou I do want to build because I want to build my Sucrose as well, and I would like to do a 4 stars Electrocharge team with her. Linny I haven't touched really since I got him because I want to build him around his signature weapon and I don't have it yet, and unfortunately I was unable to get it both times that I tried for it. That's just unfortunate on my part. I have been waiting to build my Lynette for when I got C6, and the other day whilst I was pulling for Chaska's weapon, I really fortunately got my final constellation for her, so I have the full intention of building her as a plunge DPS, a plunge Animo DPS, so I'm so excited to build her. I've already been putting aside some DPS pieces on Viridescent for her for when I got her C6, so I'm super excited to build her soon. Similarly with Kaveh, I want to get a couple more refinements for this weapon. I need to get him some final pieces. I need to either get him an onset EM one or an onset Dendro Goblet for that. I would have preferred to build him when I have Nilo for his Bloom team, but we'll see. I'm still torn between whether to just build her as a standard healer or whether I want to try and do charged attack DPS Barbara, just because I think that that would be funny. Chi-Chi I'm going to just build as a standard healer with 2-piece attack. She's C2 currently. Chongyun, I think, makes teams very, very interesting, and I am going to build him because I like his infusion aspects, and I also think he can be a pretty decent sub DPS with his burst. Lisa is going to be one of the next characters that I build because I am currently in the Thundering Fury domain farming stuff for Kuching, so she will most likely be next on the list. I would prefer to have her on the level 90 R5 sack frags that I already have, so maybe I kind of wanted to wait to see if I could get Nahida's weapon, but I haven't been able to, so who knows. But I do have her C2 somehow. She's the only standard character I have constellations for. Similarly with Amber, I have none. I have none of Kaya's. I would like to build Amber as a burst support, but I think I need C4 or is it C6? It's C6. Shit. Diluc, I got the other day. I have him C1. I do have Wolf's Gravestone R2. I am interested in building him as a plunge DPS with Xian Yun, so that's definitely something I'd be interested in at some point. Yunjin, Goro, and Noelle are 3 characters for the same thing. I've been waiting for final constellations of them to really invest into building them. I got my Yunjin C6 a little while ago, so I just need to make sure that I get into the domain. Similarly with Goro, I've been waiting for C4 so I can build him as a healer, but I also don't have Goro's sort of DPS, which is Arataki Izo, and I'm still working on, I want to build Yunjin for Yoimiya, but I don't have Yelan, so I've been putting that off. Noelle, I don't know what I want to do with Noelle. She's sort of the only character that I really have no idea what I want to do with her, but I'll figure something out. Fremine, I think I want to build him as a cryo DPS over physical. Like I said earlier, I think the only physical one that I think I'd be interested in trying would be Eula. I have mine C3 currently. I do have this just it's so annoying that it's spare because it is the only battle pass weapon that I have R5 and it's level 90, but it's just spare, so it's now his. So at least he's got a good weapon for when I do build him. Again, with the whole Eula thing, I want to build Mika, but you kind of relatively need C6, I think, or the benefit is in C6, so I might wait until I get a couple more constellations of Mika. Dory, I want to build her because I have an electrocharge team that I want to try with Kuching, Yelan, Furina, but I need a healer, so I will be building Dory as the healer in that team. She already has pieces, she's ready to go. I think the only thing that I'm missing is I think I need her weekly bosses. I don't think I have those. I've talked before about the fact that I pulled a Mist-Splitter for my Kuching. Again, we have some pieces that I've been farming for her behind the scenes. She already has a level Gobbler, which is actually not too bad. I think she's going to be great considering she's already at 117. She's not leveled and neither is the Mist-Splitter, so I think she's going to be insane when she's done. I love Tignari. I really want to get his signature weapon Hunter's Path, and it's kind of what I've been putting off building him for because I want to do it with his signature weapon. But Farazan, I already have C6. Again, I'm sort of waiting to build her until I get my Zhao, but obviously I haven't had my Zhao, so there's no sort of benefit in pulling for her or building her. Sayu, I have an idea of a team that I would like to do with an on-field Sayu. I only have her C1. I think she might be one of my lowest constellation characters just in general. I just never got any copies of her like whatsoever, but I do have an R5 Aquamaru that I am going to use for her. Sucrose, I recently got C6 whilst I was pulling for, was it Chaska? I think it was Chaska, yeah. I have her on an R1 Wandering Evenstar. I would definitely like more refinement of that. Obviously, she's just going to be a standard driver for reactions, but I love her. She's so cute. Sethos, another one that I'm still going back and forth. I'm teetering between whether or not I want to put him on Thundering Fury or Wanderous Troop. I'm still not particularly sure of what I want to do with him, but I literally have him one off of C6, so I definitely think I want to focus on that. I want to give him this weapon that Fischl has. This is the one that ironically I think is in his demo anyway, even though this was the weapon that came out for him at the time. I don't know. I have seen some really creative teams with Razor as a I've seen some really creative teams with Razor as basically like a replacement for Sino in some Hyperbloom teams, so I'm definitely going to try that at some point. I think that would be fun, so I'll probably farm him Thundering Fury. And obviously Yanfei, I recently got C5 Yanfei, so I'm one off of C6. If I didn't need Lanyan, I probably would have picked her C6 out of the Freely with 4-star selector. Again, I think I want to put her on Lost Prior to the Sacred Winds, so that means that not only would I have to pull one for Klee, but I would also have to pull one for her. Probably going to put her on Wanderous Troop I've already given her one of the pieces, but that's my plan for her. And I think that's everybody. I think that is absolutely everyone that we can talk about. This is gonna be, like I said, this is a long fucking video. But yeah, I think that's it. I can't think of anything else that I would show. I can't think of anything. I think that is absolutely everything that I can show you when it comes to my account. I will end this video off by doing some showcases of some of my favorite teams and my favorite characters, so obviously enjoy that. But I'm pretty sure this is the end of this video, so thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry that this was so long. I really wanted to do like more of an in-depth thing and something that in like a year's time, at the start of 2026, which doesn't sound like a real year anyway, but at the start of 2026 I'd like to update this, see where my account is then, an entire year later. Hopefully maybe some of my characters are level 90 by then. But thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate the support on all of my videos. It really means a lot. So thank you so much for all of your support. All of my links will be down in the comment section below, as well as all of my affiliate links. Once again, thank you for your support on those. So have a good day. Thank you so much. Kiss, kiss, bye bye.